and welcome to this. This is going to be an energy check-in for Divine Femmes and Masculines. I keep feeling called to, I'm thinking I might start doing some tarot readings for it, but I'm not sure if that's what I'm being called to do exactly. I do know that the intuitions that I'm getting in, like, more and more, it's share those things, and, what I'm noticing, and what seems to be confirmed in the collective with other readers, definitely want to give a shout out to Divine Maverick and Fiery Grace and Ramblin' Mike. They seem to be on target, at least with the channel that I'm on. There's a few others I need to get their names, but, feel free to check them out, see if they're on your channel too. Not everybody's going to be on everybody's channel. I think that's part of why so many people are feeling called to get on and channel messages and do the readings. In any case, I know those who are on a similar channel with me, like, you're probably noticing, for the Divine Femmes, you're probably noticing that your masculines' sacral chakras are being healed. If you have been kind of ahead of your Divine Masculines for a while, you probably already went and did a lot of that work, but remember that you reflect each other, so well, for one thing, you're doing that too, even if it's simply by being healed through seeing him doing that, or, having him reflect that to you, because for a lot of us who have been in separation, our masculines had to go through and heal that root chakra area, which is a lot of, like, inner child healing, a lot of kind of, I would say, placing themselves and spirit placing them in situations where they did not feel safe, and they had to work on that fight or flight stuff and that anxiety. I mean, think about root chakra. If you're not aware of the significance, look it up. And sacral chakra is very much healing with it's playfulness, creativity. It's the joy of life energy. And it's also a lot to do with sexuality and reproductive systems and things of that nature. But most of it is a joy sense. And I don't know if others have been noticing, but we've gone through these sets of resets, and as we heal, we actually end up having more interactions with our inner children, our inner child. And you might have noticed that your masculines seem to have almost done like a regression, sort of, but it's a progressive regression. And you might have noticed them being even more open and more vulnerable with you than they were in the past, even if you thought that you already had that. And the healing aspect of that for Divine Femmes is that then you get to experience that joy too, and you get to allow that part of yourself out too. So if you're in that place, trust that, go there, and recognize that even if you get hurt or something triggers you, it's just part of the healing process. Like, we all need to get out of this state of, like, oh my gosh, what if I get hurt? So what if you get hurt? Yeah, it hurts. It sucks. Trust me, it hurts. But once you realize that that hurt is primarily only temporary, and if you keep you on a positive vibe, that the hurt doesn't last that long, and two, it serves you. It serves to help you heal, and then you become empress. You become a good example of self-love, and that allows you to love others with a full cup, and never to empty that cup to help others find their joy and stuff. What I'm noticing, though, is that this month, being April, which is the 4th, it's been kind of the month of the Emperor, for lack of a better way to put it. And I'm noticing a connection between the major arcana in the tarot deck, and even with numerology and astrology. Now, the irony is, the first part of of April is Aries. Aries is the Emperor card in the tarot deck, and the Emperor card is also the 4th card in the deck. And we saw the portal 444, which is April 4th, 2020, and a lot of people had different names for it, but for me, it always felt like the Emperor portal. And from there, I saw some of my DM wake up into that state, like going from that root chakra stuff, which took a while. It did. And if we think about it, if we think of, well, whatever was going on back in December, it would, like, 12 is definitely hangman typically, but I think it was actually kind of that fool spot. Like, we had that fool place, and also the Empress space, because 12 is 3, and I know a lot of femmes called for separation in between, like, October, November, December, and, you know, we're seeing that things needed to be evolved, and so we hit that fool space around, like, I want to say Christmas, New Year's time, and look back at your own story, see if it connects. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not on your channel. It's all good. But then January would have been the Magician, right? And for a lot of divine femmes that I've been talking to, and then even on my own path, that was a lot of recognizing what we have manifested in the past. And it was also a month where a lot of us were pursuing, trying to get things back, trying to make needed changes, and then learning, like, about divine timing, connecting with spirit, things like that. And a lot of our DMs, a lot of you DMs, were in more of the Magician reversed phase, which is kind of like being a big toddler who's not even aware that, one, that they can manifest things so easily, and two, they tend to make a whole lot of messes and then get unhappy with the messes that are around them. So we reflected each other on that. And then February, too, it became High Priestess, right? And again, I noticed for a number of my clients, my friends, myself, other divine feminines and empresses were definitely in that state, and a lot of divine masculines were too. It's a lot about learning about intuition, and there was definitely an increase in the amount of readers who got online, especially those who had started, including myself, who had started channels or pages like months and months and months ago, or even years ago, and had not used them, and then felt called to get on and read. And there was a lot of that going on, and a lot of, as we got towards the end of February and into March, when quarantine happened, a lot of us ended up being, well, I want to say I noticed a lot of divine empresses, DFs, that, like, voluntarily went into introspection. Like, we realized after the Magician month, one, that being, like, too masculine, being in toxic femininity or toxic masculinity, was not helping, and Spirit was continuing saying, trust your intuition, work on you, work on your spirituality, don't worry about what else is going on, I got your back. And for those who trusted and worked on that and didn't, there's a fair amount of folks too, especially I notice in the comments with other readers and stuff, I want to say divine femmes that are stuck still in a lot of karmic energy, in reverse High Priestess, just that, like, using sexuality in a controlling way, or not really listening to their inner being and stuff. And it's okay. We have all been there. We all have that. But that really was a leveling of that. And I know even in terms of like divine masculines who ended up in third-party situations started to notice those who were in karmic energy. And then as March came around, 3, we hit the Empress energy. And a lot of divine femmes started to notice that things change as they focused on themselves. They focused on their business stuff, on things that they needed to work on. And many, before and after this, noticed the Freaky Friday switch, which I explained in one of the divine coaching, divine partnership coaching videos that I did. And noticing that they were actually learning what it was like to be emperor, and same with the masculines, they went into empress mode, really getting in their feelings, and Spirit created a whole lot of situations of karmic healing for both sides, and it really put divine femmes into their personal power to be their own source of happiness, and it put divine masculines into the place of, like, that mothering energy. And a lot of them started recognizing how it felt to be the Divine Femme for a long time, and they're still kind of learning a lot of that. But then we hit April, and we hit Emperor month. Now, up to that point, we'd even gone through Mercury retrograde in Pisces. A lot of exes returned. A lot of people from the past popped up, either for us or any karmics we were with, or karmics that they were with, and things popped up, and there was a lot of illusions, a lot of disillusionment, a lot of enchantments, a lot of things going on. There was a lot of disconnect. A lot of divine partners were totally not talking to each other, either mad at each other, or communication issues went out of whack. And then we went Pisces direct, or excuse me, Mercury direct into Aquarius, had a little bit more freedom there, and then it progressed back into Pisces. And again, we saw more emotional communication. And that then, which went partially into April, and we saw Saturn progress into Aquarius also, which is a lot of like restrictions on freedom and freedom of speech, freedom of movement, things like that. We saw quarantines increased, social distancing, things like that. It just really, really started to create the situations where we have to face ourselves, where we don't have as much of a distraction from other things. Like, if we have kids, we got to take care of our kids. We got to be real with our kids. We got to educate our kids. If we've always used like drinking and partying and things like that to avoid working on what we need to work on, then, bars got closed down, places to disappear to got closed down. It's ways to escape got closed down. And like, even if you are doing escapism at home, you're still primarily faced with that. And there's a lot of folks, like, even if they had escape routes or people around, they just didn't have that feeling. Like, they found joy in it. There wasn't any joy in it anymore, and being alone just felt better. And with that coming through, we saw a lot of masculines opening up. Especially, I mean, Divine Femme still had to work on a lot of things. There's a lot of trust issues going on for a lot of folks. But then we see that leveling where, or at least what I'm noticing and picking up in the collective, is a lot of Divine Femmes now recognizing just how much they've been in Emperor energy, and not just recently, but throughout their lives, trying to control things, worried about confirmations and affirmations, attaching their happiness to whether or not their Divine Masculine was doing something with them. And Divine Masculines were, it's funny how many I've run into, even, who are starting to recognize that the ways that they previously associated love, or a good relationship, like they needed a woman who had like certain like level 10 attractiveness, or had to be able to be equal with money, or just, a lot of superficial things, and thought that, having that sexual attraction and that just the ability to play house together was somehow love. And a lot of them are realizing that actually they don't find that fulfilling. It's there, but it's not the same as having a deep emotional connection. It's not the same as being able to be vulnerable with somebody. It's not the same, like lust and physical attraction are not the same as intimate physical connections that are genuinely healing, not just physically but spiritually. And I mean, I'm noticing a lot of guys who are previously in their karmic energy coming around to their divine masculine parts, because they're realizing that's, their life is so much more fulfilling when you have someone who, one, fulfills themselves first, and they don't, like, yes, we all want to feel needed, but it's so much different to have somebody that fills themselves up, and not because they have to, because they want to, and they recognize the joy in it. And having that person, being with that person when we're also in that fulfilled state. Anyways, the video's getting a little bit longer than I expected it to be. What I'm sensing is kind of coming up is like a continuation of the tarot energy, sort of. I'm not sure how it'll work once like December hits. I think it would probably be, I don't know, even know. I'm sure someone else will come up with the part. But what I'm getting a strong hit on is that May, being the 5th month, will be like the month of the Hierophant. And especially 5/5/2020, that'll be a significant day. I'm also sensing that 4/22/2020 will be a significant day. Because again, that's a 4/4/4 day. So another something to do with the Emperor. That's what I'm sensing on that. And 22 is also after 21, which means after the completion, like a new start, a new journey, and maybe another reset. Who knows? But as we go into May, like we're hitting a lot of Taurus energy, and with no irony, the Hierophant is represented by Taurus a lot of times, and the Hierophant can. It's higher learning, it's higher commitment, it's a little bit of pompery, pomp and circumstance, it's commitments, and the number 5 is mastery and change, and still a fair amount of choice and knowledge and things of that nature. So I'd imagine there will be a lot of opening up in that month. We'll see what exactly happens in there. And then June, which being the 6th month, would be the Lover's month. And I have been seeing a lot of signs and readings and signals that are saying that a lot of full unions are going to occur in June. That doesn't necessarily mean you won't connect with your divine partner before then. Whether if you've been in no contact, whether it's contacting them, whether you're looking, you're really anticipating physical connection or something else, like whatever it is, like June. Remember that the Lover's card, it is about love, but it's kind of more about self-love, like connection between your head and your heart. And it's about choices. It's about seeing the choices that we make and knowing that there are no wrong choices. But each choice does determine, like, what do you want to manifest, So I'd imagine, and then July, the 7th month, Chariot, more momentum, right? And August 8th, the Strength card, and then September 9, the Hermit, things like that. And I'm getting a sense that there's going to be, I want to say, I think that the heart chakras will likely be worked on next, especially by divine masculines in this month, which is the 4th chakra. And I'd imagine that once that healing happens, that the Hierophant energy of the 5th month can really kick in ways that you probably haven't seen it happen before. And I mean, if you're the divine, I think I see an interesting little bird over there that I've not recognized before. It looks like a miniature hawk, but I know it's not even that big. It's like the size of a robin, but it's not a robin. But we'll see. Maybe it's significant. But what I would suggest, whichever partner you are, if you're the one who is more sentient about what's going on, you're the one watching this, whether you're divine femme or divine masculine, what I'm getting the sense on is the spirit is saying, what that which you think that they need to work on, you work on. That which you think that they're going to work on, you work on. So, like, if you're sensing that their sacral chakra is doing good, and then the next would be the solar plexus. That's personal power. That's emperor energy right there. It's also the link to which we connect to other people energetically through our empathic abilities, things like that. If you feel like that's what's next, as I feel, then find your own ways to work on that. And then heart chakra after that. Like, don't skip to it, but allow it to flow and just trust that as you heal, they heal. As you learn, they learn. As you do, they reflect. And just work on that as much as you work on it for you. Don't work on it for them. Work on it for you and just have faith that they will work on it too. If you've really been following along and you're not in your karmic energy, you will have been noticing these things. It's part of how you can recognize who is your divine partner. Are they, for the most part, on wavelength with you? Are they reflecting what you're doing? Are you reflecting what they're doing? But either way, if you've not taken the time to call back your soul pieces to your chakras and your energy body, do that. Do that retrieval, get that in, figure out what places that you need to stand up for you, or you need to be in your personal power. And as a cool tip that came across through Fiery Grace, remember that like you reflect your partner, but that doesn't mean you have to be in the same exact energy as them. If you're noticing a lot of 12s, especially when you're interacting with them, that is generally the Hanged Man, which means a pause. But you can also say, okay, they're in Hanged Man, so I'm going to go into World Card Energy, which is 21. It's still the same numbers, but the difference is, and they're both kind of a pause, but the Hanged Man is like you don't know when the pause is going to be done, whereas the World Card is there's completion. You have a brief pause, a Fool moment, and then you go into Magician again. So like for me, like recognizing that each thing has progressed and just accepting it, not looking for confirmation, or just going, yep, that feels done. And then when I see that like my DM is in Hangman energy, or I'm seeing a lot of 12s, I go, oh, okay, I can do the world card, that's easy. And I also realize that, because 2 and 1 equal 3, it leads me back to, you know what, I'm going to be an Empress energy, right? I'm going to be in there. Or if you see that they're in an 11, which is like justice, karma, things like that, remember that the pages are 11s. You could do any of the pages. Be a Page of Cups. Be sweet and romantic and do that while they're dealing with things, or be Page of Pentacles. Try to avoid being Page of Swords, but, a Page of Wands is okay. You start on that, but just go with what feels right for you. And just, keep on the positivity. You ain't got to be inhuman. You ain't got to, like, never feel mad or anything. But remember that when we judge others, especially our divine partners, we are judging ourselves. And it's the same thing with karmics. You hold them in place. You hold them in your life. It's any third-party situations. You hold them in when you carry resentment for them. So, this is that time to get into that personal power, that solar chakra power, and then get into the heart chakra, where we often carry a lot of betrayal energy. So start working on that now. That's what I'm getting the sense on. And anyways, I might get on and start doing some tarot readings more to get a little more connected with even what I am sensing. But if anybody has any specific questions or intuitions of your own, I'd love to hear them. I'm kind of just paying attention to the vibes that others are seeing and catching and channeling and things, and going with my own inner knowing. And this one just had to come out right now. I've got like several others, but this particular one clearly needed 22 minutes of time. So I hope you enjoyed, and keep working on you, Empresses and Emperors. That's where the key is.